Everybody doing this evening? I want to talk real quickly about just something you're going to hear a lot about in the future, and that's called these smart contracts. Smart contracts on the blockchain, running on a blockchain. And what a smart contract is, which is really a good definition. It is a smart contract. In a legal contract, what you need is you need an offer, you need an acceptance, and then need some consideration. Consideration means some monetary exchange. Even $1 is a monetary binding acceptance in a contract. So you need offer, acceptance, meeting of the minds, and then you have consideration. Well, in a smart contract, all this is defined by code. Everything about the contract and how the contract takes effect, how it's put into existence and how it runs is maintained through the code. So instead of having a written contract like you would in an ordinary contract, maybe by a third party would write the contract, like maybe a lawyer, in this case you would just have a contract that was written in code and held decentralized in a decentralized database or computer someplace running on the blockchain, and that would define the contract. So what really a smart contract is doing is it's allowing code to dictate how the contract takes place. So in my situation I just said, if let's say I had a contract with someone and I did this before, I would make a contract with somebody in China, purchase something in China. So I would wire money to a Chinese bank, and then the company would send me back some sort of product. Every time you did that, you took the chance or the risk that you wouldn't get your product, and you'd have a very little remedy in recourse. So in other words, I can't go to U.S. court and sue somebody in China, and I can't probably go to China as a U.S. citizen and sue somebody in a Chinese court. So really your money was on the line. So that's why it was always scary to do transactions in other countries. On the blockchain, that's all solved because the contract takes place on the internet in a decentralized location, with the consideration being a cryptocurrency already on the line. So the code defines how this goes. So instead of going to court and getting somebody to decide who wins or who loses, it's all decided by the code. The code determines how the contract takes place and how the contract takes effect. So it's the code that defines the contract, not some arbiter or somebody that's like a third party. The code defines the contract, and it stays on the blockchain. And the reason why this Ethereum and EOS are so popular right now, because they are decentralized applications or smart contracts running on top of a cryptocurrency. So now you can have a contract that has well defined through the code, which also has a medium of exchange being the consideration, by having a cryptocurrency that you can literally universally use throughout the world. So that's kind of a quick description of what a smart contract is. Smart contract is literally code defining the contract instead of some other writing or something. And when you do have a problem with the contract, the code determines how the contract is to take place instead of maybe you suing somebody in court. So this is why this is such an important thing. This is why it's going to be something that is mind-blowing, in fact, to the point where it's really hard to grasp how this is going to be used. The millions, if not billions of ways this is going to be used. And why right now scalability is such a big deal. Because when you have so much taking place on the internet, so many transactions and so many decisions taking place on the internet through the code, it has to be done in a very quick fashion. So anyway, that's just a quick way. It's taking the middle person out of a contract. It's actually replacing the middle person with a computer generated or computer written code. So that's what it is. It's a smart contract. I appreciate you watching. Thanks.